about me, you know that I have a fear of public speaking. You notice I say I have instead of saying that it's gone. I'm not going to say that it's gone because I live with it every single day. I've had to get over so many different things when it has came to fear. It's ridiculous sometimes. And one of the earlier moments I think about with fear is being afraid to be around a group of people because I felt like that they were going to be judged. I felt like that they were going to judge me. I love everybody, right? And this is a weakness. I love everybody. So therefore, I tend to want to be loved by everybody. I feel like that should be reciprocated. But on the other side of my brain, I know that that's not possible. And so I've always felt like people were judging me, even if it was just being around family. You know, I would get nervous. I look at some of the pictures of me from back in the day. I always had kind of sweat up here on my head. A lot of people think that I sweat when I get nervous, right? Because people have seen it, especially in professional situations, right? People will see it and they're just like, what's up? What's going on? They think that it's, PTSD from me being a Marine, PTSD from me being a firefighter, but that's not the case. I just always been an anxious person, right? But it never was looked at it as, something that you talk about. I didn't even know what it was to even talk about it. Good thing that, I'm here now. I've gone through some things with some of my loved ones and my family that's had to deal with anxiety, and I realize and I see it inside of them. I see them getting anxious, and I think about me. I think about the things that I've had to overcome. So, sweating. I remember I had this fear of walking to the bus, right? The bus will pull up in front of my house, and pull up in front of my house. I walk out the house. Everybody inside the bus, they looking at me because I know I was looking at everybody when they was coming out of their house. And of course I'm thinking, do they like me? So that stopped me from doing a bunch of stuff. That stopped me from being the person that I needed to be. That stopped me from getting to the finish line. I wanted to do so many good things, but I was halted by fear. I don't know too many people that wake up and they say, you know what? I don't want to do nothing. I'm not going to commit to finishing nothing. If you're alive, right, you got some kind of goal. Even if that goal is just to wake up in the morning, that goal is just to go to sleep. You got a goal. That goal is just to eat. That goal is just to wake up and run or get on your bike. That goal is to come and do a podcast. Ask yourself, are you committed to finish? Your fears that you have, those fears, are you working on it? Are you working on them enough so that you can fulfill that goal, so that you can check that box, so that you could run that play that you've been running? You wrote it down, you bought courses, you did all of this stuff, but somehow you still haven't executed. So I want to ask you, are you committed to the plan, despite your fears, despite the things that's enabling you or disabling you? Are you letting those things enable you? Are you taking that fear? Are you taking that pain and turning it into your passion? I remember when I first learned how to drive, having this fear on the inside of me. I would be really hesitant to drive on the highway. All my friends would be like, what's wrong with you, man? How come you can't drive on the highway? That's just so weird. I would go down Broadway when I could have got on Route 30 and been there in half an hour, sometimes to an hour early, depending on where I was going. But I had this fear, so it stopped me to taking the most expedient route. And sometimes it stopped me from even going the place that I wanted to go anyway, because I knew that it was going to be too tasking. I knew that I was going to get inside my head. I truly believe that a lot of us, we're committed to what we want, but we're not committed to being committed. We're not committed to taking the extra steps that it takes to go and get our mental health evaluated. We're not committed to taking the extra steps that that you need to take. And sometimes we fall into the finish line. And for me, with driving, I was in the Marine Corps, and I was getting ready to go to Japan. One of my best friends, or my best friend, somehow, I don't know what was going on, but he was supposed to fly to North Carolina to meet me, to pick me up. And, well, not to pick me up. He wasn't going to pick me up, but he was going to drive back with me. We were going to go from North Carolina to Indiana. He was going to drive back with me. And for whatever reason, like I didn't understand it now or then, but I understand it now. I understand it as God putting this thing in the front of me, which I thought that was horrible, to help me. My friend didn't show up, and this wasn't during the time where you had GPS. I had like a map, you know, one of those deals to where you take and you print it out. I think it was called MapQuest back in the day. I had a MapQuest sheet of paper, and I had a map, right? I had a map. I'm afraid of driving on the highway. I'm also afraid of driving in the dark, right? I was this freaking scary dude. Like, I was this big, bad, tough Marine, but I was afraid. So my friend didn't show up. Something happened, and I ended up driving. I ended up freaking white knuckling, or not white knuckling, what would you call it? I ended up black knuckling it all the way to Indiana, and it took me forever to get there. I made so many different stops. I stopped at hotels. I slept in my car. There was times where I didn't feel like that I was going to be able to make it, right? I called my mother, and I called my auntie. I'm like, talk to me, right? Help me. I had this little Nokia flip phone. Talk to me. Help me keep my mind focused so that I can get to the finish, because I'm committed. Because at the other end of the road is the place that I need to go. I'm committed to being committed, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. Are you committed to do whatever it is that you take? When you commit it, you don't necessarily have a plan B, right? Yeah, there's other things that you're interested in, but if you waste time crafting up a really good plan B and a really good plan A, right? You're going to waste more time coming up with a plan C, a plan D, a plan, like it's going to keep going. But if you got a plan A, you know there's something out there, you know that this thing that you're getting ready to do, your finish line, is your purpose. When you know that it is your purpose, you got a plan A. You got a plan A. You will cross the finish line. So with the podcast, and I'm so grateful to have this podcast. I've met some people that have just made such a difference in my life. Very impactful people that, like, if I told you some of the people that I met, you would just be like, wow, right? And not because of their status or who they are, but the things that they were able to instill in me along my way, along my journey in reaching the finish line. But had I would have let my fear of speaking, my fear of being judged, my fear of not being loved and accepted by everybody else, had I would have let that fear get in the way of my purpose, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. This podcast is a top 10 global podcast. I made a decision, and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, because I love getting knowledge from other people. I love picking and extracting the wisdom from other people. That's my jam. I love it. I love being mentored. I love mentored. I love people. I love the conversation. But somebody said, hey, you can actually make a living on having a podcast. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, well, what about this fear of public speaking that you got, Tony? What are you going to do? Okay. I could have just jumped off in the deep end and do what I'm doing right now and just sit here and talk to you. I could have just did that. It hasn't always been easy for me to do this. And I started making videos on LinkedIn. That's kind of how I started doing the whole content creation thing. I started making videos on LinkedIn. And it was all a part of me getting over my fear of public speaking. I just talked to the camera. I got over 33,000 followers on LinkedIn. I think about 10K followers on Instagram. And it's not just like talking into a device and you don't see them. For me, I see them. For me, it's like, okay, what are they thinking? Do I sound crazy? But you know what? I got to think about my purpose. I got to think about what it is that I need to say to them, because this pain that I've been through in my life, the suffering that I've had to suffer, a lot of it is self-induced suffering, right? Too afraid to cross the finish line. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about committing to the finish. But I took it slow. That's one thing that I want to tell people is go at your speed. If you start off and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to be, let's go, a weightlifter, right? If you're a weightlifter and you say, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to be a world champion weightlifter. And you go in the gym, you know, with the mindset of that's where you're at already, even though you might have a little bit of fear and reservation in your heart, you go to it with that frame of mind, like, and you just go in there trying to hawk out, right? Lift up stuff you never lifted before, you're going to hurt yourself. So for me, what I did so that I wouldn't hurt myself, because I was committed to the finish, and I know how it is that I learn. I know how I process stuff, right? That's called metacognition. Like what is it going to take for you to finish the finish line? You're not like everybody else. What we judge other people's finish line on our beginning of the race. We judge people's pit stop on where we're at in the race. They're all the way freaking over here. We're back here, but we're judging the things that they're doing. They've already hit a stride. What do you need to do to help you cross the finish line? For me, starting the podcast, I talked to a couple different people. I was already having mentorship conversations. When I say mentorship, I'm saying, hey, there's this thing that you do that I don't know how to do. Can you teach me how to do it? I was already doing it, and I love sharing information. So, of course, I'm like, hey, let's record it. This was before I even started doing a podcast. Let's record it, and then I would keep it. But I was doing two things. I was getting the information for the subject that we're talking about. It could have been business. It could have been speaking. It could have been how to make content. But what I was doing, I was saving it. I was putting it in my vault because I wanted to be able to look at my progression, right? So I started the podcast, not just me talking by myself. I started with other people, right? Mentor of mine, Michael Pritchford, he says there's unity in community, right? There's unity in community. So it's not just me. Is the other person. And that made it easier for me right now, knowing that I have some amazing people that I'm connected with that's listening to me. I feel like that you're judging me, right? Because that's the old mind frame. Because I did the work. I feel like you're here with me. I don't have the imposter syndrome. I know what I'm talking about. It works. It works. It really works. I'm committed to the finish. I did the work, and I continue to do the work. Believe it or not, this podcast right now, me talking to you right now, is work. It's work. They say if you want to master something, teach it to somebody else. So that's what I'm on. I'm committed in teaching. I'm committed in mastering the game of speaking. So me talking to you, and then going back to me just, with somebody else, what happens if they don't show up? Okay, I got to figure out how to do it myself. So today, that's an example of that. I was supposed to record with somebody else, and I said, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing these podcasts by myself. Because you know what? I still need to put out good content. I still need to talk to the people. And then I started thinking and just like, you know what? I need to do this by myself more often because I bring so many people on here and they have so many different ideas. Like, I mean, they're the top people in their industry, but they all have different voices. They all have different causes. And I'm not going to lie. Like sometimes, I mean, there's some interviews that I haven't let see the light of day because I've had people come on the podcast and what they'll do is they'll start selling their book. That's the first thing that they do. They start selling their book, selling their course, selling whatever it is that they want to do. I'm all about that. I'm all about being a capitalist. I am a capitalist. But my purpose is to serve people. I realized that I got too comfortable in the podcast game, too comfortable leaning on other people. And I'm committed to the finish. I'm committed to making this thing the best. So that's why I'm talking to you, because I told myself every single time somebody misses the appointment or there's some scheduling conflict, I'm going to be in here. Every single week, I'm going to be in here no matter what. I'm committed to it. I'm committed to using my voice. I'm committed to serving. So when you're committed to the finish, you understand that you're going to have some obstacles. You understand that there's going to be some things that happen in your life that's going to slow you down. It's going to happen. I had a guy on my show, Dr. Rob Bell, and he oh my God, this guy's phenomenal. We were talking about mental toughness, and he was saying, like, you're going to get hit, you're going to fail, but what matters is after you fail, are you going to give up? If you feel like you're going to fail, are you going to give up? If you're in the back, are you going to just slow down, or are you going to speed up? If you fall, are you going to stay on the ground? Or are you going to get up and are you going to start back running? We talked about mental toughness. Are you committed to the finish? And that's what I want y'all to ask yourselves. Whatever it is that you got going on in your life, no matter how hard it is, you got a goal. And especially right now, you think about that goal that you have. Does it align so much, not even align, but that goal that you have, is it bigger than the obstacles that you have right now? Because if it is, you're going to make it happen no matter what. You're going to continue to fight. Me right now, going through some hardships, caring for loved ones right now, I'm going to tell you, is a struggle, but I'm committed to finish. I'm committed to serve the people that are committed to listening to me, my voice. I'm committed to that. So the things that I have going on in my life right now, the things or the roadblocks that I had before and during the process, it happened. Yes, it's happening. Yes, but I'm committed to the finish. So think about this. That thing that you want to do, that goal that you have, that big idea, ask yourself, are you committed to being committed to the process? Are you committed to finish? Are you committed to finish? And what are you willing to do? What are you willing to go through to make your dreams become a reality? So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate every single last one of you, the people that subscribe, the people that comment on social media. I love it. I do need a favor. If you're listening to this podcast, do me a favor. Let me know. I really want to know who it is that's listening to me, the subscribers. For whatever reason, I don't have, there's not like this database. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that properly. So let me know if you listen to the show. If you listen to the show and you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And then what'll happen is I'm going to take your name and I'm going to put it in one of our drawings. We're going to continue to have drawings throughout the duration of the show, and we're going to give away gifts. We're going to give away sponsorships to the podcast, depending if you're a business and you want to do some business-to-business transactions. We're going to do sponsorships. for advertising. We're going to give away MacBooks, MacBooks, iPads, iPhones. We're going to give away all the eyes. And, I just want to figure out a way to give back to everybody that support the show. We definitely wouldn't have been in this position if we didn't get the love, if we didn't get the support from each and every last one of you. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, ADP, our other sponsor, Comcast. We really appreciate the partnership. Another partnership, American Association of Pet Parents. Go and check them out. We got our merch on their website. I think it's at like 15, 20%. Don't quote me on that, but you definitely want to check them out if you're a pet parent and you want to figure out some tips to make sure that your pets are full and living healthy. Go check them out. That's an amazing partnership with them. I want to say thank you to our amazing partners at the Thurston County Chamber of Commerce. Amazing. That's actually what we record at. So thank you to them. And until next time, I want you all to really look at your goals. Ask yourself, are you really committed to finish? Are you committed to finish? Are you committed to do what it takes for you to make your dreams turn into a reality? I want to tell you, thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially I want to say thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something special. So check us out every single Monday. We're going to drop the episodes Monday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, thank you for checking out Leaders Lead the podcast. Peace.